In Aikido, we have this discussion around the resistance of uke. How much resistance should the uke give to the person doing the technique? How much resistance is good for the training? How much resistance is appropriate? And today I want to talk a bit about this aspect of Aikido, of training with a uke who is resisting more or less, and how does it help or not help in our training. So let's have a look at a few examples. So of course in Aikido, usually when we train, when we learn techniques, Aikido, let's say basic techniques, the uke is to some extent or to a big extent is following what the nage is doing, and this is for several reasons. And with Durot we have made already a video explaining this a little bit. One of the points is that as an uke, when you follow the technique, you can also learn how it works, how it impacts your system, so that when you do the techniques, you can better apply it. You can do it slowly, you can focus on the details. It's interesting to do it this way. As your level increases, you can increase a little bit. The uke can increase the resistance, can give feedback. And if I'm talking actually about the uke who is not resisting too much, but he is still giving feedback at the appropriate level. So let's say if we do a normal technique, a shihonage, and we do it in a normal Aikido way where the uke is following but not resisting, I can focus on the details, right? I can go here, I can feel the way I engage the body of the uke as I turn. I can cut underneath the center and finish the technique properly. And if I do something wrong here, during the technique, if I do something wrong, the uke can still give me feedback, showing the moment when I'm not correct and telling me, okay, this is maybe not good. Sandra can have my center here. So actually, the fact that we are not resisting doesn't mean that we are fully following whatever is happening without giving any feedback. So we still give feedback at the appropriate level that we do the technique, right? Now, if the uke starts resisting, really like making it hard to do the technique, it depends on what we train. Because now here, for example, Sandra will prevent me from advancing. So she's making it hard for me to enter and to turn, but I have many other possibilities. From here, for example, if she resists the shihonage, I can change into a nikyo, right? And I can still do something with the uke. I can still do another technique and still bring the uke down to the tatami, do immobilization at the end. But this is actually not what we wanted to practice or what we intended to practice. We intended to practice the shihonage, but now, because Sandra was resisting, we turned the shihonage into a nikyo, which is a different practice, different thing. Which we might agree on practicing another way in another training, another day in another training, or maybe later during this training. This is also correct. So the question is always what we want to practice. So another example of a technique where the uke can start resisting and it changes the practice actually is we can have a look at tsuki kotegaeshi. So if I do the normal traditional tsuki kotegaeshi without the uke resisting, I do the technique, I go here, I finish with an immobilization, standing or sitting, the technique is done, right? And we could say theoretically that Sandra didn't resist, so I was able to do the technique, but now I might be able to do the technique because if she's coming with her center energy and I redirect the energy, I can always do the technique. But if she starts blocking, if I do something wrong and she starts blocking, so let's say after this opening here, she blocks, I cannot come back. I will change my hands, go towards her face. She has to block it, otherwise I touch her face, I enter into her face, and I can do a jujinage. So again, the resistance of uke, the over-resistance of uke changed our practice from what we were practicing from the kotegaeshi into something different. And as soon as the uke starts giving hard resistance, there is also an energy which goes in a different direction when I wanted to do the technique. So I can redirect this energy, I can use it, I can change what I'm doing and still finish with another technique maybe or another movement. But it's not what I intended to practice at this moment. Another level of practice is what we call the kaeshi waza, which is the reversal of the techniques. Actually, each and every technique in Aikido can be reversed. So if we want to go to a level where the uke doesn't want to be compliant, doesn't want to follow the technique that the nage is doing, we can actually go into a kaeshi waza sequence, and this can be even a long sequence of reversals both directions. So let's have a look at a very simple example. It's a tsuki kotegaeshi into kotegaeshi. So let's say that I will be attacking now as first. I will be attacking first.
Sorry.
So as I attack, Sandra is doing the kotegaeshi. I reverse into a kotegaeshi. I want to do the kotegaeshi. Sandra is reversing. Right? She's reversing. I am reversing. I'm doing, she's reversing. And I'm reversing. So we can have an endless loop of reversals of a technique. We can reverse between different techniques. We can go from kotegaeshi to shihonage, to iriminage, to ikkyo, to whatever. All the techniques have some reversals. And this way, if the uke really wants to prevent the nage from doing the technique, it's very simple, because you start doing kaeshi waza and you move into a reversal sequence. But again, this is a different practice from learning the basic techniques. So this is why usually in Aikido we say that the uke in the beginning especially is following the technique to a certain extent. If the technique doesn't really work, you can give some feedback. But usually we try not to resist too hard or just to stand there and do nothing, because anyway the nage will find a way of dealing with the situation. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked the examples. Tell us how you train in the comments, what you do, how you deal with resistant ukes, or if you give more or less resistance in your trainings. And hope to see you soon again.